What's up, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Variant the Podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Arris Quinones, with Tim Conley.
Greetings, Variant Nation. Welcome to another round. Arris, how goes it?
Salutations. Pretty good. You know, we got some news to talk about today, and then just comic books in general, because, you know, we usually try to structure these out, which today is structured, but we want to be a little free, just talking about comic books we're reading and storylines we like, and kick it off with some news. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, man. I mean, we've been talking so much about, like, you know, the new shows that are out and freaking Snyder Cut madness, but we figure we'd talk some comics today. Yeah.
We haven't talked about the Snyder Cut, Tim. I don't know what you're talking about. We've never mentioned that on the podcast.
You're so dumb.
And believe it or not, there's actually more we could say about it today, but we're going to refrain from doing
Yes. Today we're going to take a break. Big Daddy needs a break from Snyder Cut.
Oh man. Well, I want to kick it off with like a video game topic. To my dismay, I just learned that Gotham Knights, the newest DC video game installment to come to a console near you, has been delayed to 2022. That way, we get the best possible experience ever, as said by the game developers.
That is the rumor on the wire. Yeah. Well, it's not a rumor. It's been confirmed. Yeah, it's gotten pushed.
It's so, I mean, this is not like uncommon with video games at all. Games get delayed all the freaking time because of that. You know, like glitches, they want to improve this or do that. It just kind of sucks because this was announced like summer. It was announced at DC Fandom. Yeah, DC Fandom. And we thought we were going to get it this year. And especially with, you know, a good amount of people still at home for, you know, the majority of the day and stuff like that. It would have been fun to freaking run around as Nightwing, or for me, freaking the Red Hood, tearing up, you know, Gotham and saving lives.
Yeah, man.
So now I gotta wait till next year. But it is what it is.
Just like everything else are these days, we gotta wait longer and more delays. Delay.
But it's like this weird catch-22, right? Because at the same time, we're having weeks like last week where freaking Godzilla vs. Kong dropped a new episode of Falcon and Winter Soldier and the freaking Invincible series. So it's like this weird like hodgepodge of things are getting moved, but at the same time, we're getting a lot of content still. You know what I mean? We still got like Mortal Kombat to look forward to. I know I'm excited for Space Jam. I don't care. I grew up with the first one, and whether this one's gonna suck or not, I want to see it.
I mean, you know, I feel you, man. But it's you know what? I'm just gonna be nice. I'm gonna say, yeah. It may let you down, but you know,
all I'm saying is,
watch it.
If we don't get a Michael Jordan cameo in this movie,
that would be
I'm gonna be so mad, because you just like, how do you not, right? Like, I get like LeBron is taking over the franchise, right? But let's not get this mistaken. There's only one Michael Air Jordan.
There is only, all the comparisons of LeBron to MJ are misplaced. There is only one MJ.
Yeah, so if he doesn't get a cameo, you know, next to Bugs Bunny or something like that, I'm gonna be very mad.
I could not agree with this more. That would be a serious missed opportunity.
Not to go off on a Space Jam rant, but have you watched the trailer or any of the spots for it?
Oh man, this went in a direction I didn't expect. We're on a Space Jam rant.
No, dude, no, it's gonna come back to comics. Trust me, it's gonna come back to comics. Have you watched any?
We're gonna work our way back.
We're gonna work our way back. Have you watched any of the trailers or like the little spots? Okay, so if you pick it apart, because again, the Space Jam, the first one, is kind of up there with me, like childhood favorites, like Home Alone, The Sandlot, freaking Little Giants, all those kind of movies, right? Space Jam is in there with me. So I was picking it apart a lot, but there's one scene that was actually, we even saw in the sizzle reel for HBO Max, where they were showing us clips of like Mortal Kombat, Godzilla, all that stuff. But the Space Jam portion, we see that on this planet, wherever, you know, LeBron's going with the Looney Tunes to have another freaking basketball match, in the background, it's not just Looney Tunes, it's all of Warner Brothers IP. So you see in this movie, we're gonna have like the Flintstones, freaking the Jetsons, basically all the Hanna-Barbera stuff. But there's even DC characters. There's hints, like, I believe someone's, because it's Warner Brothers. I saw someone spotted, I believe, Lex Luthor standing in the background. Someone saw like a Batmobile or something like that. So they're picking out everything from Warner Brothers. So it's kind of, you remember that scene from Wreck-It Ralph Breaks the Internet or Wrecks the Internet?
Oh yeah,
I think it's, you know how like
everything Disney imaginable,
yeah, how like you see stormtroopers in there, like the Disney princesses. I think we're gonna have that kind of scene, but for Warner Brothers in the Space Jam movie, which would be great. That'd be freaking awesome. Yeah. So see, I brought it back to comic books. See, it ended with DC. I brought it back.
As soon as you said DC, I was like, okay, I see how we're working our way back. Yeah.
So
I'm gonna watch it. I mean, me and my kids are gonna watch it. I was older when that movie first came out, which is it's so disturbing for me to say because it was 1996. But still, I was already in my late teens at the time. So I think you were what, like 12, 10, 12?
96. I was 11.
You were 11?
I was 11, yeah.
All right. So I'm going to date you right here in front of everybody, just same way I'm doing myself. I'm not going to be alone on this island. But yeah, so I was a little bit older. So it's not as big of a childhood thing, but it was definitely a fun film that came out at that time. Everybody was into it. Even though it was an animated, it was because it was Michael Jordan. Michael Jordan was still winning championships at the time. So it was like a big deal. But so we'll watch it as a family, but I'm curious to see how they do it.
Those Space Jam jerseys too, because you remember like when that movie came out, they made the Space Jam jerseys, right? Like the official like NBA, like, seal of approval license jerseys.
Right, yeah.
Those things are worth a lot of money now, man. If you go on the eBays and stuff, like you're not getting one of those jerseys for under $100.
Right.
Unless it's in like crap condition. So it's just like funny that if we would have just hung on to this stuff as kids, we could sell it for some coin now.
Yeah, really.
But anyway, Tim, we learned recently that Black Widow has been moved yet again.
After Disney promised.
They promised us. They said May. They were like, hey, May 2021, you could put your butt in a theater and watch it.
They literally, that's what's a little bit like stupid about the whole thing, is they literally just said it. They just confirmed it at their investor day just recently here in the past few weeks. And, and they confirmed, they said, yep, it's sticking to that May release date. And it's going to stick to theaters and the whole thing. And then just a few weeks later, they're like, just kidding. We've decided we're going to change everything up. And they didn't just change Black Widow, which they moved to July 9th now. But they also said that it's going to be releasing on Disney Plus as a premiere release. So you pay $30 and you can watch it from home as well. Mm-hmm. But they've also, of course, they had to move Shang-Chi because Shang-Chi was in July. So that's now September 3rd. The rest of the year, the MCU movies all stayed the same. So Eternals stayed in November. Spider-Man, No Way Home stayed in December. Thor: Love and Thunder stayed February of next year. And Doctor Strange: Multiverse of the Madness stayed in March of next year, which is interesting. I don't know that they're going to keep that March date for Doctor Strange because you're talking about, 3 MCU movies coming out over the course of like 4 months. So I don't know that they're going to maintain that, but as of right now, which means absolutely nothing, it stayed the same. But the remainder, but Shang-Chi and Black Widow both got moved. Shang-Chi, they did not say was going to be available on Disney Plus, although at this rate and with the pattern that things are going on, I anticipate that that's probably going to get added as well. If it is, I would assume that it would be able to hold its September release date, but who freaking knows at this point? If you move it again, you're going to have to, now you're pushing back all your films again. You're getting into Eternal, Spider-Man, and all that kind of stuff. So, but they also dumped their new Pixar film, Luca. That's going straight to Disney Plus. That's not even going out in theaters, which that one surprised me.
I haven't seen the trailer for it. You told me you were watching the trailer, but it was one of those films that like I heard during like their freaking investor dump of like everything coming out in the coming years. But I didn't look into it much, and I didn't even know there was a trailer out. I just read the synopsis briefly right before we got on the podcast, and it sounds pretty dope. Like
it looks really beautiful. It's a little bit weird when you see the trailer because the story is like it's like you see it and you're like, I don't know, that's weird. I'm not sure. I'm not sure if what that's gonna be like because it is different. But it's Pixar, so I completely trust it's gonna be fun and a really great story.
Yeah, for sure. It's crazy, man. Like this. I don't know, the way Marvel's like obviously with everything shifting, it's just weird. Like I've said it before in past podcasts. It's like if you can't commit to a date, don't give us one. Just be like literally to be announced. You know what I mean?
And they've been sitting on that a date for Black Widow now for what, like 8 months, something like that.
A while. I mean, it could be one of those because they're releasing it. I don't know. I wonder why they're pushing it back again.
I don't know.
It's one of those things where it's like, because when they released it in July, now they're not only are they releasing it, they're releasing it in freaking theaters, and you could watch it at home on Disney Plus for an extra $30 fee. So it's like, why not just say that from the beginning? It's kind of like when they announced the third Spider-Man film, right?
Right.
They said coming only to theaters this December 2021. And this right here is like, oh yeah? Only to theaters 2021? Okay. Okay. Looks like I'll be giving you $30 to watch it at home. It's just because it's like, it's those kind of statements where like I get they're trying to like cement it, and whether they're trying to help out the theaters or just be optimistic. It's like, sure, but with all these moving dates around, clearly you can't promise a date yet. So let's just wait until you could unequivocally promise a date. You know what I mean?
Yeah, man, this whole thing, it's just so bizarre because Warner Brothers just struck a deal with Regal Cinemas, or Regal Cinemas' owner parent company, Cineworld. They just struck a deal with them to return to theaters only with a 45-day theatrical window, theatrical release only window in 2022. So it's like, where are they going with all this? Like, the longer they push these films out and the harder they make it for these theaters, the harder it's going to be for them to survive and to rebound, right? So it's like, Disney especially, I mean, that is, for most theaters, that's their bread and butter. Like, that's their lifeblood.
Because they own so much IP.
Right, exactly. So if they keep doing this, and again, that's why I'm surprised that they moved Black Widow from May. Because they have a direct partnership with AMC and like all this stuff. And AMC, as we all know, was one of the theater chains that was in the most trouble financially, even though they did get, kind of a maybe that's one. I wonder if that's maybe why, because of what happened with the whole Wall Street Bets Reddit thing. You know what I mean? How AMC was part of that short squeeze, and they were trying to pump that stock up, and they did, but not like GameStop, but they gave that the AMC stock a little bit, and the company as a result a little bit of a life source. And I know they got some additional funding to push them to summer. But regardless of that, all the theater chains were really banking on movies coming back late spring, early summer. So if, with Disney pushing out, because again, it's not just Marvel, you've got their Jungle Cruise film that was supposed to come out in July. I guess that's kind of up in the air. It's held its date apparently, but they're saying it's a little bit up in the air. Shang-Chi is now moved to September. You had all of Luca now isn't even going to hit theaters. That was another, it's a Pixar film. So you had to imagine that was going to bring in a significant amount of revenue for theaters, or at least that's what they were hoping for. And they're trying to get back, and none of that helps.
I completely forgot about Jungle Cruise. That's an Emily Blunt rock
Me
film.
too, dude. I'm actually looking forward to that movie.
Yeah, because it looks like it's going to be their new Pirates of the Caribbean franchise.
Right.
Because it's going to be like within that kind of big epic adventure world where they could easily expand that into like 3 films or more. You know what I mean?
It kind of what it kind of reminds me of for some reason, even though it's not the same thing. Because I see what you mean about the Pirates. It looks like, I guess a better way of saying it is, it looks like a cross between the National Treasure franchise and Pirates of the Caribbean.
Yeah, or so, like I would even put like a Jumanji in that kind of realm.
Jumanji's a good one, yeah. Jumanji,
like the original Jumanji.
Yeah, for sure. But I mean, you've got Luca's not even going to hit theaters now. That's going straight, and then you had their other film, Cruella. I don't know that that's like a huge, I don't think that anybody was anticipating that that's going to make like all the money in the world or anything. Maybe it does. I don't know. It's a Disney film, so who knows? But that one was supposed to come out, I think, April? And now it's bumped to the end of May. So they, that's still going to hit theaters, but it's also going on Disney Plus. So that cuts your potential audience in half, because a lot of people by May, I'm assuming as we continue to work our way back to some semblance of life, here, as we pull ourselves out of the coronavirus pandemic, you're still going to have people that are dealing with, the psychological ramifications of what's transpired over the last year and working their way back in. So, it was already going to be tough, but now you add the premiere, and it just makes it that much harder for theaters until we get to September, maybe? I mean, I don't know what the other, like Universal. Do you know what Universal is doing with their slate? I haven't really dug into that.
Neither have I. If for whatever reason, it seems like most of the eyes have been upon like Warner Brothers and Disney, right? Because even Sony has gone quiet. They're just like, yeah, we're moving all our movies to 2022, and like you don't hear about them, right? So it's kind of interesting to see like Warner Brothers, who has DC, and Disney, who has Marvel, like the two that are always at the forefront of everyone's talk when it comes to movies. Because obviously Warner Brothers is like announced late 2020 that all their movies for 2021 will be available on HBO Max same day as theatrical release. And then Disney Plus is just doing their thing with Disney Plus. They're either, they're trying to release them in theaters and then simultaneously with Premiere Access. So it's intriguing to see how they're both the one everyone's talking about, but it could just be because Universal, Sony, they're just like, yeah, we're just gonna wait. We'll see you in 2022.
Yeah, I mean, because I know that Universal and Paramount also had already struck deals with theater chains to reduce the amount of time that their theatrical window. So Warner Brothers, because that reduction of 45 days, because previously it was 90 days. That was the deal that the studios had with the theater chains, was 90 days exclusive to theaters, right? So that in and of itself is a shift that we kind of even predicted, and a lot of people did, that this is the direction that things are going. The next step is they're going to reduce the amount of time that it's exclusive to theaters before it goes to digital streaming, because all of these studios are creating their digital streaming platforms. So I know Universal and Paramount were actually ahead of Warner Brothers in striking deals with the theater chains to shift to that 45-day theatrical window. So a month and a half. So, and I think it's even shorter for like smaller movies. So that's just the 45 days that they're doing, these studios are doing. It's just the big tentpole films. So like for Paramount or whatever, it's like Mission Impossible 7, right? And, with Universal, it's like, Fast 9 and things like that. The big big budget tentpoles is 45 days. The smaller films, it's even less time. It's like a 30-day window. So, all of these things is just moving things further in the direction of like they want to profit and push profit towards their streaming services. And none of that really screams like good things for theaters. None of that looks good, but I just don't know what Universal, Paramount, Sony, those guys are doing for the rest of 2021. I don't know what their plans are or when they intend to start getting back to some semblance of theatrical releases, because they've got all these movies, just like every other studio. They've got all these movies backed up, just sitting there waiting to be released. And I just don't like Dune, for instance.
Dune, yeah. Well, that's HBO. That's HBO Max.
That's HBO, yeah.
Yeah. It's crazy though too, because like you said, a lot of productions, I would say most productions are back up and running just with the strict, COVID guidelines.
And
but people are filming
for months. And months,
people are filming. So shows, they're making all our shows again are shooting, all our movies are shooting. So it's like all the content is like spinning again, but where's it gonna go? You know what I mean?
Exactly.
When it's done. So it's like it's this weird conundrum of like, all right, so are they just gonna still hold it, or are you just going to release it on your streaming platform because every major studio has one now? Like, what's going to happen with that? You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's very, again, it just remains in this weird transitional phase. Like so many things, man. We are in such a disruptive time. We've talked about it ad nauseum here again, but it's just wild to watch because, you just have to imagine, because you see them making these new deals where they're like, oh, we're going to return to theaters. And, they even though they kind of quietly keep moving things out and they're shifting their contracts to where the films will only stay in theaters an even shorter period of time, really half the time for tentpole films. I mean, that's a dramatic change, half the time. And there's just this dramatic shift towards, so it's like, man, what is that going to mean for theaters in the short term, not even just the long term? We know where things are going in the long term. The writing's all over the wall for that, but it's in the short term. It's like, how long can these theaters that are desperately trying to save their business model, how long can they go with these things going on and just taking blow after blow after blow before they have to go, all right, well, we've either got to somehow downsize and adjust our business model or die, or they just aren't able to withstand it and they just start slowly getting phased out.
They go the way of Blockbuster and Hollywood Video. Who out there remembers Hollywood Video? Everyone knows Blockbuster. Everyone knows Blockbuster, but I feel like Hollywood Video has been forgotten. I don't know if that was like an East Coast thing or what, but I got down on some Hollywood Video just like Blockbuster.
Hollywood Video outlasted Blockbuster.
Dude, like, because I remember, I grew up in Broward County, Florida, Margate to be exact. Margate / Coral Springs, because I was like right on the border. But like on the road, there was literally like a Hollywood Video, right? Like I believe off Banks Boulevard. And then literally like 4 blocks over, there was your Blockbuster. So back in the day when you had to go to a video store to rent a movie to bring home to watch, you would go and you're like, let's say like, I don't know, like let's say The Wild Wild West, right? With Will Smith.
Right, yeah.
Let's say
wow,
that.
You just pulled one, right? You just pulled a serious one out of the butt there.
Yeah, right? So it's like, dude, that's just out on home video. Let's go, let's make it a Blockbuster night, right? So you go to Blockbuster, you go to the new release section, and you hope, because back then it was the cover and you hope that the tape was behind it, right? If there's no tape behind it, that means it's all out and everyone's ready to beat you to it. And then you go to the people behind the counter and you're like, hey, did anyone happen to return like a copy of The Wild Wild West? Because they would look, and if not, you're like, dang it. But then you would go to Hollywood Video and hope they had it. And usually they did. So it's like you would go to the other if they didn't have it, because that, like, people today won't like feel that. You know what I mean? Because when you're renting it streaming, there's no like limited supply. There's not like just 50 copies available. It's like unlimited. But it was kind of fun though, like going and be like, oh, they don't have it, so let's go pick something else, and it became like an hour ordeal with your friends or family, which is like, it's one of those weird catch-22s, which it sucked, but it was also fun. You know what I mean? Like in a weird way, it made it fun, but it was kind of a bummer. So it's like, it's not one of those things I would say I necessarily want back fully, but I kind of do. Like, I would like them to bring it back with like an unlimited supply of video, I guess. Because it did suck if you wanted to see a movie. Like, you're like, this Friday night, this movie comes out and I'm going to watch it. So not a lot of times, but several times, especially when you're younger and you don't have money, like, I couldn't just buy it. So I'd be like, Mom, can we rent it? Dad, can we rent it? And if they didn't have it, then I couldn't watch it. But there were certain ones, like, let's say, like, I don't know, let's say Batman Returns or something like that, or a movie I really wanted. If they didn't have it, it would be like, they don't have it, but we could buy it. They have it for sale. And they would sometimes, if I really wanted it, they would buy it for me. But that's a struggle kids these days, or even teenagers, will not understand. And I feel so old in saying that. No. Yeah. But it's true. It's truth. I don't even know how I got on this. Like, I don't even remember what I was saying. I have no idea where this was going.
You just wandered into the wilderness with no map or road map back.
100%.
You forgot to track your steps.
I don't know what point I was trying to make. I derailed and make it a Blockbuster night.
And it's a valid point. And I do miss those days. I'll be honest with you. That was a fun thing we used to be able to do, is go. It was kind of an event. It was a little bit of an adventure. It was a lot more fun. I can tell you this. It was a lot more fun than freaking scanning through Netflix or whatever other streaming service for like that 20, 30 minutes, and then just getting so frustrated because you can't pick from the 8 million options that you just wind up going and doing something else.
That happens to me weekly, and that is my wife's biggest pet peeve.
Man.
Like, sometimes she just sighs when I'm like, you want to watch a movie? Because she knows it's going to be an hour of us just scrolling through, like, let's see what's on Netflix. Nothing. Let's see what's on Hulu. Nothing. Let's see what's on Disney Plus. You know what I mean? You just go through all the streaming platforms. Yeah. And it's like,
it's exhausting. I was telling my wife recently, because I'm obviously I'm a big movie guy. I have been my whole life. And I told her, I was like, I don't know what's been wrong with me lately. And I mean, when I mean lately, I mean like for like the last year. Mm-hmm. Like, I just, so often I find myself, somebody's like, hey, you want to watch a movie? My kiddos will be like, hey, you want to watch a movie? And I'm just like, nah.
Really?
Yeah. And I told my wife, I was just like, I really think it's because of the overload of content. There's so much content constantly being thrown at us now. And there's so much, there's so much content available 24/7. Whereas, for most of our lives, this content, it was like, it was our fun escape at certain times of the week. You know what I'm saying? Like
Yes.
you didn't have it accessible 24/7 the way that we did. And, you know, if you missed a show, it was like a big deal. You know what I mean? Because usually you had to wait for the rerun if they were even going to show it again. Now everything is like, I don't have to worry about it. And that's great, a great convenience. I'm not saying that. That's an awesome convenience. But it's kind of taken a little bit of the edge of like the fun, the excitement of it. And then you lump on top of it, there's so much content and we're bombarded with it, especially because of what we do for a living. We're constantly dealing with it that it's not an escape so much for me anymore. As much as it is, it feels like more work in a sense, even though it's not. You know what I mean? Like some of the things we do is for work. You know, it's whether we're reviewing something or we're watching something because we're going to be discussing it or whatever. You know, and sometimes there are things, I should say, most of the time there are things we're going to watch anyway, but sometimes it's not. Sometimes it's things like, oh, well, you know, it wasn't on the top of my list, but I need to watch this because we're going to discuss it or whatever. Right. And now I'm just like, because we're constantly doing and talking about the content, that now it's no longer the same escape for me. It's almost like my escape, my break is not doing and dealing with, you know, films and television anymore. It's very weird. It's a weird dynamic for me. What I'm saying is, Arris, I'm in a new world right now, and I'm trying to figure out how to work my way around.
A whole new world. Yeah, you know, it is one of those things. It's like I was saying the other day on here, which is like I have to be a lot more picky with what I watch. Like back in the day, you would, like us fans, especially like comic fans, we would pretty much watch anything that had like a Marvel, DC, or comic book character in it, right? Because there wasn't many. You know what I mean? You had like Smallville, like the cartoons, and not too much more than that, right? But now there's so much with like the plethora of CW shows, the HBO Max DC shows, all the Disney Plus stuff.
Right.
We had a series of even Marvel shows like Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., the countless animated series, you know, I go on and on, right? The home videos. So now there's just so much that I have to be a lot more, I'm not just going to watch something because it has Batman in it, right? It has to have Batman in it and be something that piques my interest and is really cool. You know what I mean?
Right.
So it's, you know, with that said, we talked about the Superman and Lois show, and at the time I only watched the pilot, but now I've watched the first 3 episodes. I'm really digging it. That's one that I'm hooked. I'm liking it. I'm liking it.
I still have not seen the 4th episode.
You have?
So I'm behind 1 episode.
You're behind 2 episodes now. Now the episode 5 just came out.
Oh, okay. So I'm behind. Now I'm behind 2 episodes. Wait. What episode am I on? I can't remember.
If you've only watched the first 3, there's 5 currently out. So if you only watch the first 3, you're 2 behind.
Okay. So am I okay? Which one was episode 4? Episode
4 was the one. Well, I haven't seen episode 4, but the episode 3, the last one I watched was.
Okay. So you're only up to 3.
Yeah, that's when Jonathan Kent became like tried out for the football team and got on the football team.
Oh, okay. No, then I'm on, okay. Then I haven't seen episode 5 then.
Okay, so you're one behind.
Okay, so I'm only 1 episode behind.
Right. Yeah, but I'm enjoying it a lot. But point is, like, there's lots of shows like I fell off the Flash just because I wasn't digging where it was going, and there's so much other content that I'm like, all right, well, I'm gonna have to put that time elsewhere. And I actually don't watch. I think the only CW DC show I'm currently watching or have been watching is Superman and Lois, because I fell off. Obviously, Arrow ended and all that stuff. I don't watch Black Lightning. I don't watch Batwoman. I don't watch Flash.
Right.
So yeah, because there's obviously comic book stuff is first and foremost, but there is a lot of stuff non-comic book related that I also want to watch. You know what I mean? There's lots of stuff. There's just lots of good shows out there in general. So it's really hard. And then, like you said, having our jobs, then, you know, having a family at home. It's just like now more than ever, you have to be more picky with where you put your time, right? Because there's just many things that it's like, there's no way I could watch everything. And that's not including like the video games I want to play, all the comic books I want to read, and just anything else. So it's I will say it's a very first world problem to have. Oh,
without any question. Yeah, this is like major spoiled first world.
Yeah. This is like the most like entitled, like, oh my God, I have so many shows, I just can't watch them all. Like,
yeah. Now I just feel bad. I'm sorry. I just feel bad. I'm gonna stop now.
But hey, that's
I'm going
like
to donate all my subscriptions to a charity of some kind. Can you do that? Is there a donation I can make?
But like you said, it's also, a big part of our job is talking about these shows and comics and games and movies. So, it's sometimes it's also like, Batman, everyone knows who's been listening and watching Variant knows Batman's my guy, number one favorite thing in all of fiction. But there's sometimes where it's like, hey man, I just want to watch like a normal comedy with Seth Rogen.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, so yeah.
Yeah, I guess, but my biggest thing, I guess, that I was just trying to say is that it's weird for me to not be as interested. I mean, I used to watch there was a point where I would watch a movie every day, like before I went to bed or whatever. Mm-hmm. I just love movies. I've always loved movies. And now it's just, that's a shift for me where, I do not watch movies nearly as much. And when I do, it's usually because there's a big tentpole film that came out that looks, fun and, it's more like a family thing. But the rest of my time, even watching television, I reduce it. I spend a lot more time just reading, and you're going to laugh, but I've actually gotten heavily into like meditation. That's true. That's
you
actually
were
really
right.
True. Yeah. I actually have gotten into to a lot more meditation, and just I guess what I'm saying is I need more Zen in my life.
Oh my God. That's funny.
Whatever, man. It works. Like I have to say, it does. It has helped with stress quite a bit. So I recommend
going to freaking isolation floating tanks up in here.
Yes, as I did tell you. After I'll tell you what, I had already kind of started it and started doing like some research on it and stuff like that, just for stress reduction. And then I went and I did my tank, my isolation tank that I talked about. And then, but after that, I continued and I have done more meditation and stuff like that. And it does. I recommend it to you. It's like, it is great for stress reduction, and it improves creative thought. That's what I'm just throwing that out there.
You're
welcome.
I've done many of research on this.
I'm telling you, and now experience. So, you're welcome is what I'm saying. You're welcome.
See, the thing is, if I do one of those floating tanks, like you talked about a while ago, I feel like I would just I'd be one of those guys who are like, aliens. There's aliens. Get me out of here. I've been abducted.
Oh my God. That's all the more reason for me to get you to do it with me. I got to see this happen.
Oh man. And
I got to introduce you to the binaural beats.
But then you just feel vulnerable too, because like you said, you go in. Well, I guess you could pick. You can go in there in your birthday suit, or you can wear like swimming trunks, right?
Oh yeah. Yeah, you can either go the route I went, which is go back to the womb. Just go in there as God brought you into the world.
Oh my God.
Or you can go in there like you're going for a swim, whichever you prefer.
Oh man. Well, going back to comic books.
I guess we did wander off the trail a bit there, but that's fine.
Have you heard of the comic book Enoch by any chance?
Enoch or Enoch?
Enoch is how you pronounce it. Enoch is
no.
It's based off of the first computer ever.
No. How do you spell it?
It's ENIAC. Enoch. A lot of people were saying ENIAC, it's Enoch. Okay. Or is it? I'm pretty sure. Now I'm like second guessing myself. It's not ENIAC.
I know. I mean, I've never even heard. Is it brand new?
It's brand new. Yeah, it's actually, well, I bring it up because it's actually by one of our old friends, a former Valiant CEO, Dinesh. It's his new publishing branch. Yeah.
Man, that's dope. I didn't know Dinesh was releasing a new book.
Yeah, well, he's like, he's doing his thing, like running the company and stuff. It's
he's got his own imprint now.
It's his own imprint, essentially. Yeah, basically, all the old Valiant folk that left during that time now started this new imprint called Bad Idea, and this is the first book done by Matt Kint. But dude, it's pretty dope. It is pretty. Well, first and foremost, to tell I guess you and everyone listening, the way they're going about things is really cool, because this is a book that only select stores, comic shops can get, and there's no digital copies. Like they're purposely not doing digital, because the whole point of it is to drive fans to the shops, and stores are only allowed to sell one copy per customer, and you could only sell it for retail the first 30 days. If they see you selling it for more than retail the first 30 days or more than one copy per customer, they will pull you from their list and you will no longer be able to sell their books again.
That's interesting.
They actually
this is to obviously increase the value of the books,
increase the value,
more rare,
to make them more rare, build hype, and also drive people to the comic shops. But it is freaking making the market go a little nuts right now, because they're also doing things. Because you know how normal books, like if the first printing sells out, they'll go back to a second and third. Well, they're skipping all of that and doing a first and a not first printing, as they call it, out the gate. So the first printing for ENAC has white font, and then the second printing, or the not first printing, is black, right? And then they're just doing out the gate. So that way, like, there's no going back. There's just like, this is what it is. So it's a really interesting business model. One that's definitely increasing the rareness of the books, but also the way people buy it, forcing them to, like, if you want to get it, you have to go to the shop. If not, you're gonna have to buy it for like a lot more online. Like the first print on, like, this book came out like 3 weeks ago. The first print of this book at a 9.8 is going for like $700.
Wow, no kidding.
Yeah, and a raw copy is going for $150 to $200, which is nuts.
Dude, and I'll tell you what, I bet you the comic book shops though are like, thank you. Right?
Yeah.
That is much needed for the comic book shops. Similarly to what we were talking about the movie theaters, they need the support and the help from the actual comic book industry so that they can keep their doors open, man.
For sure.
And find or at least buy them time to where they can regroup and restructure to where they can adapt to the new environment. But that's really cool. I had not, because I knew what he was doing with the him and the team that they gotten together to put together Bad Idea, but I did not know that that's how they were releasing the books. I hadn't gotten into that. And I saw that Rob Venditti is doing that Tanker series with them. So I knew about that one, but I hadn't seen about ENAC. Is that
ENIAC, yes.
Okay, and it's about AI. Is that what you're saying?
So basically, it's about the first computer in America, and what if it became sentient and went rogue and basically controlled all of our defenses and world.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's really, really cool. Like, it's a brilliant concept. I'm very curious to see the longevity of it, because the way they're releasing books, like, out the gate, it's creating hype and rarity. But I'm very curious to see, since the story is actually really good, how well the longevity of that's going to hold up, right? Because if the story continues to be really good, the first issue is only going to become more and more and more valuable. Because, like anything, when like The Walking Dead blows up or whatever character blows up, everyone wants the first issue. So, people who are able to get a copy or stuff like that, it's like a gamble. It's like, you could sell it now for a good amount of money, but what if it continues to be good? And like a year or 2 years from now, that copy that was going for like $150, $200 raw is now like $1,000, $2,000 raw. You know what I mean? And then even thousands of dollars graded at like a 9.8 or what have you. So it's a really, really interesting thing. And it's kind of bringing a lot of discussion in the collector community, because it's like you said, like, just by telling you the concept, off the bat, it's like, oh, so they're forcing the rarity in the market, which is which is a really interesting thing. Some people are like all for it, some people aren't, but I think it's like, hey man, do what you're gonna do. Like, that's awesome. You want the book, just wait in line and get the book. Like, if you want it that bad, people do it for like new Nintendos and stuff. So you know what I mean?
Yeah, I think that's a really fascinating concept, and I actually really love injecting that instant rarity to the marketplace, not just for comic book shops, which that was priority number one for me, but also to the collectible market. I just think that's a really, really fun idea.
Yeah, it's never been done before. I love the fact, because again, they give the shops orders. Like, if they find out you're selling more than one copy, or you're marking up the price for more than retail, which is $2.99, they ban you from ever carrying their titles again. And they've already done that to a store publicly on social media. They named the store and said banned from Bad Idea for life. So they are not messing around.
Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Wow. You know what it makes me think of a little bit is what Mondo does with their posters.
Yes. I'm very curious to see if that's kind of where they went, where it's like, hey, this is the artist. There's only 500. Get them while you can. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah. Yeah. So that's a very interesting concept. Good for them for being innovative. I love that. I'm going to have to reach out to Dinesh and say, hey man, we need to link up and hear what you got going on. See if we can't get some a conversation going about what they're doing on the show.
Yeah, for real, because it's definitely, maybe we'll get them on the podcast. That's a very good idea. Talk some bad idea.
Yeah, we can talk some bad ideas. Yeah.
I love the name too. I love names that are like that like you would normally get brought up in a conversation. You're like, no, that's a stupid idea. It's like, yeah, would you say it's a bad idea?
Right.
You know what I mean? It's like, that's
it reminds me of that. You remember that Animaniac short, Good Idea, Bad Idea?
Yes.
That's what when I first saw what they were doing in the name of it, I don't know why, but that was the first thing that popped in my head, and it just made me laugh.
My daughter's obsessed with that. I told you she's obsessed with Animaniacs. She used to say that all the time. Good idea. She still says, I got a good idea, and it came from that. Or if I say something she doesn't like, she'll be like, no, Daddy, that's a bad idea.
That's a bad idea. Yeah.
But yeah, I use that as my transition because we wanted to talk about some of the comic books that are coming out that we're enjoying, and that was the first one to come to mind because I was like, oh yeah, this has been out for 3 weeks and we still haven't talked about it. So
yeah, that's a good one.
Go check it out. You'll ask for bad idea.
Did you get your hands on a copy?
I did get my hands on a copy from a source that I cannot say, but I was able to.
Wow, we got secret sources and everything. This is very clandestine. What's going on?
I was able to secure one via a friend.
Nice. Well, very nice of you to make me aware of it after the fact. I appreciate that. That's great.
Well, I really became aware after the fact, after the release date, and none of our local shops around here in where we live here in Dallas were carrying it, unfortunately. So the only way I could get it is by reaching out to a friend and be like, "Hey, can you send me a copy?"
Gotcha. That's funny. I'm gonna have to see if I can get my hands on one. That's pretty cool. I want to read it.
Yeah, and the only way you can read it is getting your hands on it.
Right, exactly. That's like my point. Yeah.
Which again is really, really interesting. It's a really crazy idea. It's a bad idea.
It's a bad idea,
but in a good way.
Yeah, certainly different. That's for sure.
For sure. But what titles, is there anything that's been piquing your interest as of late?
Well, nothing like that. Nothing that's clandestinely acquired like yours. I don't have secret agents out there rummaging up first issue hard print only.
Well, what's funny is I think you kind of know. This shouldn't be a surprise to you. Like we have I have a lot of friends, especially with toys and stuff like that have I basically have eyes out there, right? So I have several friends for like comics or like
that's
toys,
the only
collectibles.
Reason you make friends in the first place. Yeah, you just want eyes and ears. You're like what's that character in Game of Thrones who has their little birdies?
So I have a short list of like around 5 people that I could be like, hey, I'm looking for this. Keep an eye out for me, and then they'll text me like, I found it, or like I have it, and I'll send you a copy. You know what I mean? So,
right.
One of my contacts, actually, my boy Min. I'll talk about him. He's like a wheeler dealer here in Texas with like toys and comics. He actually was able because he goes out like hunting, right? So he found one of the few comic shops that in the Dallas area that had it. He got it. Not only did he get it, he got it graded recently because for those of you who don't know, CBCS, which is a grading company, they're like CGC. One of their headquarters is here in Texas. He got it graded. Right. Just got it back 2 days ago. It didn't come back as a 9.8. This mo freaker got a 9.9. A 9.9. Now, given CBCS, there's a lot more lenient with their grading than CGC. Like, it's way harder to get us 9.9 with the CGC. But still, a 9.9 is insane. Like, point in case, it's going for like $1,000 on eBay right now.
Wow, man.
So I was like, you mother freaker.
Yeah, I actually just got a couple of graded issues back of a Star Wars, a limited edition Star Wars variant, and I just got those. There was a 9.8 and a 9.6, and I was like, a 9.6, mother son of a. I mean, it's pretty good. It's pretty good.
So you got a 9.8 and a 9.6?
A 9.8 and a 9.6, yeah. And I was like, come on, what's the 9.6 about? I could have had 2 9.8s, a 9.9, nothing.
Did they give you notes? Did they tell you why? Why?
I didn't. I'm still waiting to get them in. I just got that initial, a notification.
Okay.
But I'm waiting to actually get them in hand so that I can see. But I was like, come on with the 9.6.
Yeah. because they usually give you like a little piece of paper or like why you got dinged for things like, it's got a dent here, or it's got off-white pages, or whatever the heck is the matter with it. But a 9.8, I mean, that's pretty good.
I'm happy with the 9.8.
You keeping it, or you're looking to wheel and deal it?
I can't say right now. I got to keep the suspense up. Just keep an eye out on eBay is what I'm saying.
Well, I know initially you were hoping for 2 9.8s, and then you were like, I'll sell one, I'll keep one. Like that just makes sense, right?
Yeah. So the 9.6 is probably going to find its way out into the marketplace.
Oh, okay. So you'll keep the 9.8, and then you'll take a lower.
Yeah, I'll keep the 9.8.
Okay, all right. So there's our boy Comic Tom. He gets stuff graded all the time. It's no secret that he's in with the CGC. He's worked with them before. He's hosted some of their panels, or their booth rather, at C2E2 and stuff. And I'm supposed to say, because his turnaround is a little quicker, just because that's what he does all the time. He's constantly sending stuff to them. So I have a handful of books that I need to send to him. I got the first appearance of Batman Beyond I want to send to him. I have some really cool key covers, like Batman Adventures Batgirl cover with Bruce Timm art. I got a lot of stuff I got to send him that I want graded, just because I want them encapsulated.
You're like putting together a work list for the poor man.
Dude, I told him, I'm like, and he's all for it. He's our buddy. He's like, dude, send him over. I got like 15 books I got to send to this man.
He's gonna start getting emails. It's like, Arris says you can get books graded. He's gonna hate you.
But dude, it's like, we talked about them on the podcast and show all the time, like, Comic Tom, Jeff the Golden Age Guru, like these guys, like this is like, we're more on like, reporting like the histories and news and events of like comic books, where they're in the actual collector world, right? So like, it's not out of the ordinary for Tom to legitimately send like 50 to 60 books to CGC in one shot. You know what I mean?
Well, that's what he does for a living.
That's what he does, right?
That's his bread and butter, right?
Well, that's what I'm saying. So I'm like, dude, what's 10, 15 more? But he
just bill me.
Legit, he offered because he's a buddy of ours. So I need to do that though. I just haven't, and I don't know why. If I would have done it when he originally told me to do it, I probably would have had them back by now.
Right? No, it's true. It's true. Yeah, I'm more selective than you. I look for very specific titles. And good opportunities, and I'll snatch them up and get them graded very quickly, and it just adds to the collection. But I'll usually buy a few at a time. So it's same thing. I'll get recommendations. I'll get people that'll hit me up and be like, "Hey, have you seen this book? Hey, buy this one," or whatever. People that are in the industry, and so I look for more kind of like very select opportunities that I'll quickly snatch up, and then I'll get them graded right away. But I'll try to buy a few at a time. Like the Star Wars #7 that I just got. I got a couple out of, I got the max I could get my hands on was 2. But like I just bought another one. I bought it was actually another Star Wars book. It was a Star Wars 12 variant cover. And by John Tyler Christopher.
Oh, I got that one too. I got 2 of them.
Did you grab that one?
I got 2 of them. Yep.
The Luke Skywalker Stormtrooper.
Yes. Variant? Yep.
So the variant cover looks like the vintage Star Wars action figure.
Yes.
That you would buy at the toy store. And it's just a super cool. Really loved it. But that guy does some really cool variant covers. With Marvel and Star Wars. So I grabbed the max. I think I grabbed like 10 of them. So, keep not for nothing, but I'm going to get them all graded, and maybe, just maybe, Variant Nation, you might see a couple of those come up for giveaway here on the show. You never know.
You're going to play Santa Claus.
I might play Santa Claus. So I bought a few extra just to see. And so just throw that out there into the universe. Just keep that in the back of your head. Keep your eyes and ears open.
I didn't know you could buy 10. I just like automatically assumed, like, because it's like you said, it's usually 2. So I just copped 2 because it's like, because when a lot of the people listening, I'm sure, collect comic books. When it's not even just to like have 2, it's because in shipping, a lot of the times these books get damaged or like dinged and stuff like that because freaking the mail. So you buy 2, hoping that at least one of them comes to you in like near mint condition. You know what I mean?
Exactly,
that way, if you get it graded, point in case one of your books was a 9.6, the other one was a 9.8. You know what I mean? Where ideally you want 2 9.8s, as that's generally the peak of grading, because a 9.9 is like a unicorn, and a gem mint, like a perfect 10, does
That's
barely like that doesn't
never
exist.
Happens,
there's probably like I don't even know. There's probably like a handful that even exist on the freaking CGC census. So yeah, it's a freaking crazy world out there, man, with this collecting with anything now though, dude. It seems like ever since this pandemic, I was watching like a YouTube video earlier with this popular YouTuber talking about like not investing, but just like how now more than ever there's so many things you could throw your money to for investments, right? Like I'm not giving investment advice like in any sort. I'm just saying
he is not.
I'm just saying that like Pokemon cards and trading cards in general right now have skyrocketed, man. It is insane. Like it kind of makes me sad because when I was a kid, I had the whole entire first run of the Pokemon cards, not first edition. Like a first edition Charizard right now in good condition, literally you can get like thousands to hundreds of thousands of dollars for it, right? The one I had as a kid though, I could, and if I kept it in good condition, I probably could have got a few grand for it, like $2, $3, $4 for it, which makes me sad because I remember that I sold it to a comic book shop, the whole collection, all like 100 or whatever cards for $100. And it's just, it makes me super, super sad. But like, it's all trading cards now though, dude. Like I recently, actually at the beginning of the pandemic, I was like on this like little splurge of like buying a lot of Batman animated series collectibles. And one of the things I saw that I had from my childhood that I wanted again was the Batman animated series trading cards, right? But I was like, you know, I want just like the whole box, like how Target or Walmart would have it, or a comic book or how a comic book or how a comic book store would have it in the day in that little box, you know, where you bend it back and pop it up and you take the booster packs out of it. I wanted the whole box and I found it for like $25. So I'm like, dude, $25 for the entire set, literally a sealed in plastic box of Batman the Animated Series cards from 1992 or 1993. I'll spend $25 on that, bought it. Went to go check a month ago because, again, my friend Min, bringing him back up again, he's like, dude, these cards are booming, and not just Pokemon cards, like trading cards in general. I was like, oh, really? So I checked on eBay at sold listings. The same exact box I bought about like 10 months ago for $25 is now going for $200.
Wow.
Same exact box. So within 8 to 10 months, I've like quadrupled my profit with that. Man. Like it quadrupled in value. It's so insane. And it's like that with Pokemon cards, Star Wars. Ever since The Mandalorian season 2, a lot of the Star Wars collectibles are going up in price. It is nutty. Dude, remember Garbage Pail Kids?
Oh, sure, yeah.
You know, remember those trading cards?
Uh-huh.
One of those cards in like it was in almost perfect condition, sold for $69,000 recently.
Get out of here.
No joke, dude. Like it is like, and we actually went to Star Wars Celebration in what was it, 2019? 2018?
2019, I believe, yes.
Okay. I remember you specifically because every time we go on a trip for like a Comic-Con or something like that, after we're done working, towards the end of like, you know, our con, we get stuff to bring home for like our family, and you know, you have 4
it's like
kids.
Our tradition, yeah.
Right. Yeah. So I get stuff for like my wife and kids, or for me, and you do the same thing. But you have 4 kids, so you always try to get, you have to get a lot of stuff. And I remember we passed a booth that had a bunch of trading cards. Remember? And you were like, "Oh, I'm gonna get some of these for you know my kids." And a lot of those trading cards, because I remember that we were seeing those old Star Wars cards, those old like Batman, Spider-Man cards.
Yeah.
A lot of those cards that you were buying and saw that day are hundreds, if not thousands of dollars only 2 to 3 years later. So if you would have just dropped like $500 buying a bunch of those boxes, you would be sitting on potentially 6 figures right now.
See, don't tell me that crap right now.
I'm telling you, you would be sitting on potentially 6 figures. How nuts is that? How is it just?
I don't want to believe that. I'm gonna ignore that.
Because you remember those booster packs, he was selling them for like $5 a pack. So just to think, if you were to buy like, you know, I think he actually had Garbage Pail Kids there. If you were to buy like a box of them or something, drop, let's say $200, you could have easily made like what, $40,000, $50,000 off of that.
Just because they're selling like without unopened, rather. They're just going for high dollar amounts.
They're going for high value, but if they're not opened and then you get them graded because they've never, you know, you would hope if they're sealed and in a box and then you're bringing it home, you get them graded and now they come back as like a 9.9 or something like that. Now you have a card that's worth a crap ton of money because there's a lot of those cards exist, yes, but not in good condition. So people are going after the ones that have been sealed and getting them graded. So when they come back in good condition, they're selling for a crap ton of money.
Wow.
Yeah. So it's one of those things where like if I had a time machine, if I had the freaking DeLorean and could even just go back 2 years ago, heck, if I could just go back to the beginning of 2020 before freaking Logan Paul like caused this Pokemon explosion.
Right.
And just dropped like $2,000 on a crap ton of Pokemon cards, that $2,000 would have easily turned into like $50,000, $60,000, $80,000.
It's interesting, man, because you never freaking know what it is that's going to
you never do
catch, right? You never know what's going to catch, what's going to take off, what item or what grouping of collectibles is going to hit the right stream at the right time or get promoted by the right person at the right time, is going to become a trend, and it just takes off in value. So I try to be pretty diverse with my collection. Mm-hmm. So I grab a lot of different things. I grab a lot of high-end or rare limited edition stuff. And, I do it with the same thing with comics and the broader collectibles. I mean, the collectibles I tend to collect are more, limited edition, high-end stuff that it's only comes out for a very limited period of time. But I think you're also seeing like a spike now in collectibles across the board, not just in things like comics and the worlds that we dwell in, but also things like watches and shoes and on and on and on you could go. You're seeing the value of these things explode because of how many crazy things are going on with like the economy and what they're doing with currencies, printing money like crazy. So you're seeing inflation kick in. And I think you're also seeing a lot of people that have money are anticipating like losing the value of the actual currency. So they're going and they're putting their money in things that they think will have an intrinsic value to it. Which I know that is for sure one of the things that's happening in things like, watches, rare watches, and, even certain types of rare collectible cars, stuff like that.
Yeah, that goes along with something I heard someone said, actually that YouTuber that I said I was watching at the beginning of this topic, where he was saying a lot of people are wanting to put like their money in something physical now. Like they don't want to just have the paper.
Exactly.
They want something that's tangible. So whether that be coins, cards, comics, watches, shoes, purses, whatever it may be, it's investing, you're putting your money in something that has potential to grow. And in his case, he said he started buying silver in 2015, silver coins, right? Mm-hmm. And at that time they were like $15 like per ounce or so. Don't quote me on this, but they were like $15 for like a coin, right? And he says now they're around $33 a coin. So he's doubled his money.
It's come down a little bit since. Yeah. It's a little bit less than that now. It's around like $25 an ounce.
Either way, he's almost doubled his money, and it's pretty crazy. And it's just crazy to think like that if you come into a lot of money, like you could easily justify buying an amazing Fantasy 15 as an investment. You know what I mean? Like it's not just like, I want it because I'm a big comic book fan. It's like, no, that's a legitimate investment. Like you get to own this piece of history and geek out about it, but also with the MCU and Spider-Man and all this stuff, that has potential to double, triple, quadruple in price. And it has. This is like comics, cards, all this stuff is kind of like stocks when you think about it, right? Like it's the same. It's stuff that like it goes up in value, goes down in value, and that's what stocks do, right? So it's pretty crazy.
I want that on a shirt. Comics and stuff kind of like stocks.
They go up and down. But dude, it's crazy. Like Bitcoin, and then even like just everything. What is it? NFTs is like the another new thing coming up.
NFTs, that's the new craze. Yeah,
with like art and stuff like that. It's just
everything, dude. Everything, not just art, like video clips from famous NBA shots and stuff like that. Anything and everything is being gobbled up in the NFT market right now. The crazy stuff is. And for those of you who don't know what that is, it's where they literally are taking any kind of a digitized item that you can think of that it would be considered rare or a collectible or whatever. They're adding a digital a unique digital thumbprint to it, basically a digital certificate of authenticity from the seller, and they're selling it as a digital collectible, and they're doing it through the blockchain. So there's all these different, blockchain and cryptocurrencies, tokens and assets and so forth and individual projects that are doing this, and it's become wildly popular.
Yeah, it's crazy. It is nuts. I know an artist that I will name unnamed because I don't know if this is public information or not. But
that's probably best.
Yeah. He made quite a few dollars on selling a print, just under six figures. Just for selling one print because he's a fairly popular artist, which is nuts, dude. And he just sold the NFT. Like he made this thing, he sold the NFT of it and made like just under 100K. It's like, what? What, dude?
There are a lot of. In fact, I believe I just read that Todd McFarlane started doing that.
Well, because it's like you said, it's the new thing. Like a lot of comic book artists are going into it now.
A lot.
Yeah.
Yep. So in fact, Patrick Gleason, who's currently on Spider-Man with Marvel and some other projects, and he's obviously an awesome comic book artist. He's another one that he's selling his stuff on NFTs.
Crazy.
And that's what I say. Like you just never that's relatively new market that's just exploded almost overnight. And you just never know.
This last year and a half, I feel like everything is right. Like so much. Like
the world is changing, man. I'm telling you, we've talked about it before, but we're in a very rare time. Like throughout human history, there are just these moments where technology advances to the next phase. It takes the next major leap in technological advancement, and it creates all kinds of disruption. And it can be very chaotic, but it can be exciting and so forth. And there's a lot of transitions that happen. And I really think that we are in the early stages of one of those times where we are at the very beginning of the next major leap in technological advancement, and it's going to change so much about the way our world operates. It's going to be wild to watch as things transition and the world changes, and we see brand new things that are awesome and exciting get introduced, and we cry about the things that we're losing as a result, and all that kind of a thing. But it is certainly interesting to watch.
It really is. It's a crazy time, as we say, but really, really cool at the same time that all these. It's weird too because it also seems like if you're paying attention, I don't want to use the word easy, but I would say it's there's a lot more ways to make money now. I will say with all this stuff coming out, which is pretty crazy if you pay attention to certain things. Because again, my friend Min, man, he literally quit his job and is now just working, wheeling and dealing toys and comics and even cards now, which is awesome.
It's incredible.
It just goes to show because he worked for the post office for a minute. And while he was working there, he would just buy. And he was doing overtime a lot because the post office the last few years have been, freaking working their employees like a workhorse. But
questionable.
And he was a single dude. So he just buy. And he amassed such a big inventory that he's like, dude, the way things are going, I have so much stuff. He just quit. He's like, they've been working me to the ground. I don't want to do this. I have a lot of stuff. And the last year or so, he quit and he's just been wheeling and dealing, selling stuff.
Good for him, man.
Yeah, it's pretty great, So he's doing toy shows, collectible shows, selling stuff online, and getting stuff like those Enacs, buying it for $3, selling it for hopefully $1,000 by the time his auction ends. Nuts, man, nuts.
It is. It's like anything, right? Like when old opportunities begin to close, old doors, new opportunities begin to emerge. So it's that kind of creative destruction process. But there is definitely, without any question, new opportunities to make a living. New opportunities to just even invest and make additional funds if and where you can, but new opportunities to apply that hustle, I guess you could say.
I love how this is
definitely emerging.
This is turned into variant ways you can make money.
Yeah, we turned into a money talk show.
That's so funny. That's what happens
it's just because both of us collect.
It's true.
And so it definitely feeds. And we're watching kind of the dynamics of the market change, and it's very interesting.
It's very, very true. I mean, like, I just bought recently a Darth Maul Black Series action figure from Hasbro, archived edition, and that thing's already over $100 freaking bucks. Like,
wow.
It's crazy. And it's like little changes too, right? Because if for the people here who collect action figures, stuff like that, he was one of the first figures that Hasbro released when they introduced the Star Wars 6-inch line several years ago. But they re-released him in an archive wave with better face scan technician, so that he looks more like Ray Park. Who plays? Is it Ray Park? Is that who plays Darth Maul?
Who, Darth Maul? Yeah, it's Ray
Oh,
Park.
it's Robert. Okay, I'm right. So let me do that again. So they re-released the archive edition of the figure with better face printing technology to better reflect Ray Park, who plays Darth Maul, and it looks awesome. And because of that, people want it because it's a better version of the same one they released. But also, Darth Maul's a very popular character, and people, the speculation. Sure, that's another thing too. All these movies and shows are driving spec. So the speculation that he's going to appear in the Obi-Wan live action series, people are buying up everything Darth Maul. So like before that show was announced and those rumors hit, his first appearance in comics was probably like $40 or something like that. It's now in the hundreds of dollars. So it's just nuts. Like,
so hold on to my Darth Maul collectibles is what you're saying.
Hold on to your Darth Maul collectibles, comics, first appearances, anything. I would actually say that, because a lot of people listening, they might not even know what they're sitting on. So anyone listening, like if you have like any first appearance or key issue or collectible from not just Star Wars, from any of like the characters from the Disney Plus series, to the TV shows, like hold on to it, or go on eBay and check to see what the sold listings are, because you might be sitting on like a few $100 and not even know it. You know what I mean?
That's a fact. That is an absolute fact. Yeah. Especially if you have been, casually collecting for any number of years.
Mm-hmm. You're just putting them away.
Have a stash that you don't know about.
That happened to me. Like I was years ago when the first when Marvel got the license to print Star Wars comic books, when Disney essentially bought when Disney bought Lucasfilm, aka Star Wars. I was on the pull list for a bunch of the Star Wars comics and stuff like that. So I ended up inadvertently having like the first appearance of Ezra Bridger in comic books, the first appearance of like some of the Mandalorians in comic books. And now come to find out from my boy Comic Tom, some of those issues are actually worth a decent chunk of money, which is why they're going in that pile to get graded to CGC.
Right. Yeah. Which is a good decision, especially considering.
Yeah. It's just nuts. So it's like, even me, like there's some stuff like, because we watch his top 10, which it monitors the market every week for the top 10 trending comic books and sales from the previous week or that week.
Right, exactly.
And I was watching one, I'm like, oh my God, I think I have that book. Sure enough, I go back in my freaking long boxes and short boxes. I'm like, yep, got that. And it's like crazy. So you just gotta be very aware of what you have, because you could be sitting on something valuable and you don't even know it.
Yeah, you just pat yourself on the back. Well done, Arris. Very good job.
Well done, past Arris. And that's why they get bagged and boarded. They get read, bagged and boarded, and sealed away safely.
Exactly right. Oftentimes, dude, I don't even read the hard copy.
You read the digital?
I'll read the digital version, and I will bag and board the hard copy immediately. So that way there's just no chance of it getting jacked up.
Look at the spoiled times we're in.
I know. It's like, again, just first world for days. Yeah, to be fair, this is a benefit that we have of variant. We basically buy so many comics, or we are sent a lot of these comics digitally, so that we can review them and look them over and have them ready for the show and so forth. So that is kind of we're spoiled in that way, that we have access to a lot of these comics already, and then the hard copy just gets bagged and boarded.
That is true. Although I've been known to like even just this shows like the pure laziness where I have the book, but it's like in the closet, in the just away other side of the house, and I have my iPad on me. I'm like, I'm just gonna buy it for $3. I don't want to get up. Like,
wow,
so I'll buy it.
That's bad.
So I'll buy it digitally again. It's like, hey, I'm just
freaking bad.
I'm supporting the stories I like.
This is true. And Lord knows they appreciate it. Amazon thanks you.
So it's so nice. I'll buy it twice.
That's it. Yeah, jeez. This conversation went in a very different direction than we initially, I think, anticipated.
Very, very different direction. It just goes to show, like, we don't really have to have like a set like rhyme or reason to an episode. We could just talk.
Yeah. Well, there's just so much going on, and there's always so much to talk about in the world of geekdom. There's never a shortage, for sure. And you and I never have a shortage of words to share. So that it works out well for the podcast.
It does. It's a long form for a reason.
So in answer to your question, Arris, no, there's not any particular comics. No, for me, The comics that I'm big on, high on, is all the stuff that we've been talking about. Is I'm really high on the Marvel stuff right now. So what they're doing with King in Black, and what they've got going on with Maestro Warren Pax is another great one. Thor obviously tops the list for both of us, I believe. I like some of the stuff DC's doing, but Marvel right now is got my attention. So that's where I'm at. But obviously we were more interested in collectibles today. So that's what we discussed.
That's where organically the conversation went.
That's
but like
right.
we're, King in Black is coming to an end here pretty soon. So obviously
it's about getting ready to wrap up.
We'll cover the finale issue on, our main variant YouTube channel, and then expand our thoughts here. And a lot of Infinite Frontier has just kicked off, so we're going to be talking about the new characters that James Tynion is bringing into the Batman universe, where Flash is going, all that fun DC stuff, because we're finally starting to transition out of Future State, because we were a little bit behind just because there were so many issues to talk about, but now we're getting into all the Infinite Frontier stuff, so that's going to be fun as well. And hopefully we get another big announcement for Marvel pretty soon, because again, King of Black is coming to an end. I know there's a big tease with Venom setting up another big story arc, so I'm curious to see what the next big event for Marvel is going to be, and ultimately too what DC really, right? Because we know at the end of Infinite Frontier issue 0 they tease Darkseid, so we have to assume the next big DC event, Darkseid's going to be at the center of it. So very, very intrigued.
That would be the anticipation, yeah.
And it only makes sense with the Snyder Cut being released. You would have to assume they kind of lined that up, on purpose. So we'll see.
It kind of feels that way, but with the way DC is, who knows? It might have been an accident.
No faith, Tim.
I've lost
You're like,
all
no
faith and hope.
You're giving them too much credit.
Brothers DC.
You're giving them too much credit, Arris.
Yeah, it's like, I mean, who knows? But whatever. Like, I love you all, but you've lost my trust, unfortunately.
Anyway, I think that brings our discussion to a close today. Would you agree?
Yeah, I think that wraps us up. Otherwise, we'd be diving into something else crazy here in the next 5 minutes, because clearly that's the mood we're in today.
Agreed. So with that said, we'll see you guys next time when we talk about all things comics.